Ahoy! There are a variety of changes in this patch that you can make gold with in the upcoming patch, and you can use that gold to get best in slot gear, or you can just get best in slot gear right now. There is a change in the patch notes that is very relevant, I think, and that I wanted to talk about separately from other trading tips, because I think it's not just a trading tip but also a gearing tip. The Resilient perk was added as a possible perk when crafting to the Summer Medleyfaire Crafting items. The affected sets are Colorful Kraken, Sturgeon Style and Masked Mackerel. So let's actually have a look at these sets. So Colorful Kraken is a light set. This is displayed as strength here, but if you look at this one, this is dexterity, this is intelligence. So this works like any other event set where you can craft it with any attribute you want. And yeah, just cater it to your playstyle. What's special about this is that the lock perks are always Elemental Aversion and Refreshing. I've already talked about Elemental Aversion being extremely strong next patch and in many situations replacing Shirking Fortification, which is especially true for light armor. So now we know that Resilient is in the perk pool. If we look at the perk pool on live here, then it's not in there, and the highest chance by far is Critical Retribution. But if we look at the PTR version, then Resilient is added, and it has a 24% chance to be rolled, which in itself is already a pretty good roll chance. But then you also have to keep in mind that this gear is 600 gear score. This is guaranteed 600 gear score as a craft locked with these perks. That means you have an almost 1 in 4 chance that you will roll this piece with Resilient. And for many players, having Resilient, Elemental Aversion and Refreshing will be one of the best in slot options. Many will also want Freedom, and obviously you will want weapon perks, but Refreshing is definitely up there, especially for damage focused players that feel like they are usually safe enough not to need to have much freedom. This is a matter of playstyle and confidence, so it's not something that you can assign specifically to being much better on one weapon than another, though obviously it's better on weapons that benefit more from abilities, but overall I think it's definitely at least a very good starting point to have. You can see the materials here. For the light armor version, this is 15 Phoenix Weave, 10 Runic Leather, 2 Asmodium and the pattern. And the medium set works exactly the same way. This is Sturgeon Style. This time it's exactly the same stats, except that it is medium with higher armor. Perk bucket here, once again, 24.1 chance to roll Resilient. For the medium helmet, you need 14 Runic Leather, 8 Phoenix Weave and 4 Asmodium. By the way, the required resources seem to be the same for any type of gear. So for example, the chest piece is also 14 Runic Leather, 8 Phoenix Weave and 4 Asmodium. And the gloves, for example, would also be the same. Also the shoes, in this case the Sturgeon Style shin guards here for the medium, are a bit different from the other ones because the chance to roll Resilient is even higher. Since this doesn't have an additional perk that can highly likely roll on it, like other armor pieces do, you actually have a 32% chance to roll Resilient. So the chance here is pretty much almost 1 in 3. And of course we also have the heavy set. This is the Masked Mackerel set. Now keep in mind, in heavy especially, Refreshing is usually not quite as valued. You're probably better off getting Refreshing Ward. And in medium, people do tend to prefer different things as well. Some people prefer Refreshing Ward, some people prefer even Refreshing Evasion still, even though that's usually kind of out of fashion now. So not necessarily the best item for every weight class, especially because in medium, for example, you also definitely want to have at least some freedom. But I would say that overall this is definitely a good baseline as well if you don't have full best in slot gear yet and maybe you just need to replace one piece for a while or something. This is not a bad starting point if you can't get any cheap, resilient Elemental Aversion gear with a good third perk otherwise, which will probably go up in price by a lot. The patterns for these can still be found on some trading posts, and not all of them are necessarily that expensive, especially the heavy pieces don't tend to be super expensive, and you can also try your luck with a buy order, of course. In some places, especially the light pieces are going up in price by a lot. I have seen some Colorful Kraken piece patterns going for 10,000-ish. But then again, even 10,000 with a 1 in 4 chance to get best in slot isn't necessarily the worst roll chance you could get. There are people who spend a lot more than that on best in slot gear. And also keep in mind that while this is something you can buy now, this is something that will definitely come around again, or very likely come around again at least, with the next summer event. So you will likely be able to get the sets by then anyways, which will mean that then a lot of people can gear up very effectively. That said, they also are planning to do a perk rework of some kind in that patch, So maybe for some reason this same set will not be that good anymore when that patch comes out. Maybe this is a calculated move that they're doing, saying if you still have the patterns now, the perks are going to be good now, but when they actually come around again, we're making Refreshing worse or Elemental Aversion worse or something. But that's something that's still in the future that we still have to find out about. It's definitely going to be interesting as well. And there's also going to be the gear score increase around that time, I think, which may mean that you could possibly not use these pieces after that. Also something that we yet have to determine. But either way, for now, it's definitely a very nice option if you can find it for a reasonable price. But that's not the only thing you can get for a good price. If you're interested in a lot more trading tips, I will have a video on that soon, but I've already posted a ton of them on my Patreon. If you want to be prepared for the next patch, that's the place to go. But otherwise, I will be posting a video about that very soon. If you want to see that video, consider subscribing and clicking the bell so you get notified when it comes out. Thanks to my patrons for supporting this video, and thank you for watching. Deep Sloth, out.